Frank,
Dynamite!
Frank, come on, in, man. Hi there, quick intro. This is episode 48. I have one more episode, which is 49. I'll have one more episode, which is 49. And then from episode 50 onwards, everything is going on Patreon. It's sort of, in a way, it's kind of starting again and going from 1,200 subscribers down to so far only 15 have done it. But it's kind of nice that freedom's starting again. It's kind of exciting, and I probably will in time put these up for free. And also, if you can't afford to help fund this, just send me an email and we'll try and figure something out. The email will be in the description below. It's to sign up to Patreon and get all the videos that I'll be doing in the future. I put the description there too. It's another thank you for everybody who's kind of subscribed to the channel over the last few years. And it's also a thank you to the ones who are going to take the jump over to Patreon with me. Anyway, there you go. Thanks a million. This is episode 48 with Andreas Müller. Get some. Hello. How you doing? I can't hear you. You might need to just see the bottom left. Oh, there you go. You're in.
Now you might hear me.
I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah, wonderful.
How the hell are you doing, man?
I'm fine. I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Life is good?
Life is very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Very good.
Just coming back from France.
Okay.
So.
Were you giving talks there?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. You're getting to go a lot of places now.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm traveling a lot.
Yeah. Do you like it? That travel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Pretty cool, that now.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because I saw somebody put up a comment on one of videos of yours and said something like, I'd love to get Andreas over to California. And I said to myself, well, help him organize it. I actually replied and said, I'm sure he'd make his way over to California if you helped him organize it. Because he was saying, would you be over for a meeting? And I just put your contact details on it. So, but yeah, you'd have no problem, I'd imagine. I don't know. I said, get in touch with him. I didn't speak for you or anything like that, but I just presumed, given your activity of late, that you're in a lot of places. Yeah. And how are they going? I mean, you seem to get a few people coming every time. There's the appetite for this. Is it growing, or is it less, or is it changed? Or
I don't really know. I wouldn't say that it's clearly growing. I wouldn't go that far. It's also not less, but it's maybe growing in the side. You know, I have more cities, so to speak, but it's not necessarily that in the cities more and more people come over the years.
Yeah, okay. Just
it feels a bit like as if that stopped 1 or 2 years ago. Also in Germany. So I have the cities and people come, but for quite a while it was growing.
Yeah.
Since 1 or 2 years, it's
Yeah.
not really growing anymore.
Yeah. I mean, for it to be popular, ever really. Maybe, I mean, when there's nothing on offer, you know, unless you start introducing some deep meditations or whatever, I can't, maybe it can, I don't know. Can it? I don't know how these things work. It's quite organic still, it seems to
Mm.
me. There's no rhyme or reason for it, you know what I mean? There's no formula, oh, this is what you do and you can be successful at something.
No,
I'm
no,
not
no, no,
successful. Yeah.
no, no. You can't really, no, no.
Yeah.
Can't really plan a career out of that.
No.
No.
No. Yeah, because I'm toying with this idea and I'm looking at this idea of seeing, is there a way that I can make some money out of doing these sorts of podcasts, or that, you know, that I can get a certain donation and then I could do a certain amount of podcasts and a certain amount of videos on Patreon and maybe I can make some money that way.
Mm.
But we'll see what happens. It's very early. I've only just decided because I've done 50 podcasts and a lot of videos, and but it's hard to kind of say about how you can. I mean, in the end, the biggest interest is in non-duality. Seems to be the people that
Mm.
come to this channel.
Mm.
So yeah, people are kind of strange when it comes to asking for a bit of money on the internet. It's like,
Yeah, I think there's just so much out there.
so much out there, yeah.
That's what my impression is. There's
Yeah,
so
and
much out there and so much out there for free.
yeah. So I'm kind of the view that, well, maybe I'll do these and maybe only 20 people will watch the conversations. And I'd start, I don't know, it's kind of a strange thing. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm just toying with the idea of it, and there seems to be some kind of a response. People are somewhat receptive to the idea. So,
Mm.
um,
I mean,
somebody,
it's
go on.
probably worth giving a try. I mean,
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's kind of just reached that point, you know, yourself, where it's kind of like, well, just do something else then, really. Whereas if I can make a few bob, but then it's kind of hard. What do you do? These sorts of conversations, what do you say? Oh, I'm going to. The conversation has to be organic too. You have to they kind of will happen. You can't say, oh, well, I'm going to have these conversations because I need to do a podcast so that people who are subscribing, you know what I mean? And then it's okay. So what do we do now? I don't really know what to ask. Do you know what I mean?
yes. Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I can't pretend. I can't say, oh, right, Andreas, look, I'm not really to ask you, but got some questions here. Let's go through them.
Mm.
Anyway. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, I suppose,
Mm.
with it. Yeah, a few have subscribed and we'll take it from there.
Mm.
But yeah, yeah. So, what are the questions? Such a strange thing, yeah. So where do you go from here? How do you talk about this thing? No idea. How do you talk about talking?
Oh,
It either
oh
happens or it
well,
doesn't.
yeah, one could say so. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why it happened for me, or why I do that, so to speak. But it seems really kind of fitting in a way. Within the story, within my story, it's just fitting. But I wasn't really deciding to do that. And to be honest, even after I was doing it for 3 or 4 years, I've switched um, from part-time hobby, from a hobby talker
Yeah,
from, to kind of full-time, whatever that is. But
yeah,
and even after 3 or 4 years, me doing that, this wasn't a plan, or I never really was thinking about that this could become possible or that this will happen. And then
Yeah.
suddenly there was just enough requests, so to speak, and suddenly there was this idea, oh, maybe I can just quit my old job, but I was actually prepared to go on with the job and to work as a
Yeah.
driver, and period.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, that is the, these are just ways to describe it. But when it is uncompromising, it's kind of obvious that, I mean, it is obvious in everything when you, but it's obvious when it's that you would never really, if you were a human being navigating through the world, really say, well, I'm going to sit down and talk about this. If it was a choice, I'm going to go around and into a room and talk about this. You know, do you know what I mean? If it was, so unless that person was just a little bit tapped, whereas when it's a certain type of thing, it is kind of organically both coming, somehow it's how it's happening, but it's still, I think it's still rare that. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you describe, you never saw yourself doing something like this, and then suddenly you're somehow doing it.
Yeah,
That seems to be the nature of it. It seems to just somehow one day it's happening. That's the happening of it. You can say
absolutely.
that the same with everything.
Yes, of course, one can say that. Of course, it's for everything, but
Yeah.
also for the talks. And I
Yes.
mean, the thing is, I mean, when there is no one, it's not that there is someone left who knows or
Mm.
has it all together and can now share from this experience, or from this, I have it all together and now I can start to talk about it. That's not happening. And in a way, that's the organic thing about it, that it's not coming from this person which assumes to know or to speak from its own experience and consciousness. So yeah, it's just happening. And it was happening, apparently, so natural as anything else. It was just, oh wow, that's what's going to happen. And even me saying it like that sounds a bit like as if there is someone watching, but there wasn't even someone really watching. It just was what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And in a way, it's kind of, so when I would describe something like this, I would say, it's not quite the same, but I would put more words to say. I would say, for example, you know, why don't I seek out to have a conversation with Eckhart Tolle and have loads of views and get loads of people signing up? But, and when I use, all I can say is, the only reason I don't do that is because I get a nauseous feeling in my stomach, and it's quite subtle. And so I kind of go, no, that's, whereas I'm putting
No,
more words on it as opposed to it just happening. The layers
yeah,
I've added in is slightly different. You know, in terms of the decision making, I would add in more of a description as to.
maybe, but I mean, sorry, I don't know if I understood you right, but exactly this, when I say the message, for example, or these whole talks are for nothing
Yeah.
or for no one, they don't recognize a person. So they don't only recognize no audience, so to speak. It's not in order, there is not only no audience, but there is of course also no one here. So it's also not for personal intentions that I might have. In the sense the person would assume it, like making money or get more people or that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's also not for me happening. It's not only not happening for the audience,
Yeah.
but it's also not happening to fulfill my person.
Yeah.
And so of course you can't really do that. It's all, It's
You
not
can't.
really happening around that message. Let's do that in order to get more people.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
no, I was going to say that's what's sensed by this thing, that somehow, somewhere beyond the fucking pointlessness of talking, that's the subtle excitement that's why, you know, we can't come with questions. We can't approach this sort of thing. It's just somehow two of us would get together and we could turn off the microphone and all this shit. It should still be the exact same sort of conversation
yeah,
in a
actually,
way. Maybe we might talk more about family or beers or whatever, but it still would be
yes,
similar. And it's not that, you know, we're trying to get anything from each other,
yeah.
although, you know, it's just
Yeah, that's lovely. It's what it
that's the
won't
friendshiping
even.
happening or whatever you call it. Or friendship is not
Yeah,
the right word, but that's the open thing.
yeah, but that's also a good example. The conversation probably won't be very different if the camera was turned off or the
Yeah.
mic. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I might tell you
absolutely.
more about my hangover from last weekend. It's still here, but
Yeah,
you know,
that's
I might not. I might not either. You know,
who
it
knows. Mine is also still there a bit, but
is it really.
it
Yeah,
wasn't too bad actually. But
no, mine was desolation. Anyway, the sea nursed me back. I went into the cold Irish Sea this morning. This is 3 days later. I went into the cold Irish Sea and it's nursing me back. Anyway, um, um, and you see, when I think about this sort of thing, I I kind of go, well, sometimes the thought in my head will go, well, sure, I've had these conversations before. We've talked about it. There's nothing left to be said, but that's not it. That's not it. What's being talked about is talking. Is what's happening. I get the sense. You know what I mean? So it's not, we are coming here to talk about non-duality, if you know what
no,
I mean. It's,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's very interesting that. Not interesting, that's what it is. It's as much as you can say. And that's why it's really nothing to do with any thoughts that I might have about, oh, well, we've had these I've talked with Andreas before, so what could I possibly talk to him about?
yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, oh totally.
Hmm.
Of course, I mean there is no real issue we talk about or non-duality. I actually totally don't like that word, but
Yeah.
it's very dry a bit and dead, I think. But
Well,
yeah,
I think it's taint. It's not that it's like it's now becoming like the word. It's laden down with too much baggage as a word. It's
really.
owned nearly too much. It's no longer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's no longer innocent.
It's no longer innocent. Yeah, or whatever you want to say. Maybe Robin has his website called This Nessing, and so I think, you know, we're just talking about this. We're talking about what's happening. So
Exactly.
where do you go with that? And I suppose non-duality, the good thing about it was that it kind of splits the brain for a moment. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a thing, and you have to really kind of try to but slowly but surely it's becoming from what I could see, a spiritual, like spirituality and non-duality and carrots and
It's a
God.
branch, meanwhile, yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah, yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, but that's one could say that's why we never arrived somewhere in those talks because we aren't even talking about something. So
Yeah.
there isn't an issue really, and there aren't conclusions from that issues, and you can't work it through to come to an end. So you just never come to an end with them.
Yeah.
It's just what happens apparently, sitting
Yeah.
and talking and all that stuff. But
And you see how it normally is works is, okay, you know, what are we going to do today? And here's the purpose for this. We're going to try to unravel everything. And even if you kind of, no matter what way you say anything, the brain still goes, yeah, okay, I know what you're saying, but we still have a purpose to this, surely. Whereas the purpose isn't, it's purposeless from how it doesn't have a, why would it have a fucking reason when it's the reason is the reason itself, is for itself, isn't it?
exactly. Oh yeah, one could say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't a real purpose in anything. The idea of purpose just isn't real.
Mm.
Or purpose is only, so to speak, an idea, which doesn't have any it's which doesn't have any existence in reality. It just doesn't really exist as something. So there never is a purpose in anything really.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually the so-called
It's the
person.
person. And it's what the person is, this fishing rod trying to fucking catch a fish all the time and trying to pull shit in a way. In some way, it's, well, maybe I can get something here. That's what the person seems to be at. Even though, and it's a yeah, but it misses the point of. But then, in a way, that's just how it is, isn't it? That's just
Exactly.
not
So
a,
it's not really missing something,
yeah, it's
but
the same difference. Yeah, okay, yeah,
one could say the person only consists of being a person and living in that artificial reality. But it doesn't really miss anything. There is
yeah,
not, in that sense, another possibility for the person, which would be more true. So
yeah,
it completely doesn't matter. Even that, in a way, is just rather a description about what happens than a division into good and bad and be and shouldn't be. It just is what it is. It's, in a way, this is just pointing to the person as what it is, an illusion, so to speak, but it's not in order to make it down, no, to make it wrong or
yeah.
something.
Because
So, no,
it's the same happening. It just so happens that in that happening, there's somebody trying to get something, but it's the exact same free happening.
yes,
Even though it
yeah,
feels like it's not, it still is the same happening. Is that what?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. It too is what apparently happens, if it is what apparently happens. And it's empty and for no one, and there's no purpose in that either. It's all, it's just the same, no thing.
and
Or
that's
it's
what.
not really different from anything else. That would be again another illusion that I'm different, that the person is different from anything else, or the illusion of a person. But it just isn't.
Yeah, yeah, that's fucking fascinating. Really, that it's the same
So in that
unfolding, even
sense,
if it feels utterly not the same, and that you've got something or whatever. That's why it's not a gain. It's utterly and can never be a gain, because what you're what's happening is a conversation about a conversation about, it's not even, there's not even a beginning to that. It just so happens that we're talking like this here now. That's just seems to be it. It just seems to, talking seems to be happening now, and there seems to be a decoding of what's been said, or an interpretation of it afterwards, or whatever.
yeah,
No, yeah,
yeah, a translating. It's translating into the personal language, so to speak, into the
yeah,
personal world. Yeah, but exactly, that's what's free-fallingly happening.
yeah.
For no one, for nothing.
till it doesn't, or it does, or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but in the end, that even who would care about that? Of course, until it doesn't. Or yeah, but
Yeah. Yeah. It's just been said. That's yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
In that sense, this message, or what we this message provides an utter yes. It's in a way, the me might constantly hear no, 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 not this, not that, no me, no purpose, no whatever. But in a way, on the other hand, it's just saying yes to what apparently happens. Of
And
course,
and the
and
only reason it's saying yes is because there's nobody there. If you
so
know,
to
there is,
speak,
it's totally, it's the allowance of absolutely all, because there's nobody there negotiating the whole process.
yeah, or the apparent recognition that everything already is whole just by being itself, or whole for no reason in the end. So if you want to,
That was a nice sentence there. Can you remember what you said? It's gone out of my head, but it sounded lovely. No, you said,
everything is just naturally whole by simply being itself, but actually for no reason. So by being itself is kind of too much. So if you want to squeeze the word allowance into it somewhere, it's already allowed.
yeah.
Everything is absolutely allowed, but allowed is a bit like
Yeah, yeah.
Müller,
Like there's somebody's
you
allowed
know.
it. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it just
Yeah,
already is as it is, whole.
yeah.
That's the yes. It's inherent. No one is saying yes to anything. Yes is the same as allowing in a way. But everything is inherently saying yes.
Yeah, I feel what you mean. I'm feeling you. I'm supposed to. I get you. I sense what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. That's sure. Yeah. Hmm.
But for no one, of course, in that sense. Yeah, it's just how it naturally is.
Hmm. Yeah, and there is, you see, even the sense of being, let's say, even the sense of being a fixed person in the world happens to no one, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean. Even though it feels like there is a fixed person in the world who knows and negotiates the world, that energetic Glock or whatever the fuck this happens to no one.
exactly. Exactly. So there is no real person behind anything. And there is no real person behind the person, so to speak.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because where does the person begin and end? There, yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's usually what the person thinks, so to speak. You pretty soon hear sentences like "me and my me," or "my me is saying something."
Yeah.
But
Or a
in
once removed, instead of saying I feel this way, it's there are feelings of, anyway, I hear that a bit.
whatever, but when there is a person, pretty soon, even to be a person is personalized.
Yeah.
So then I'm someone who has a me, and yeah. Even with the one person, the person goes into duality.
And what the fuck is that? It's like this, is it this constant trying to claim the world? What the fuck is it like? It just, this arising energy is constant in survival mode. Is it this thing? Is that even real to say that, you know,
Oh
this,
no, because it doesn't really happen. But
yeah,
you can't really go there because in a way it might feel like that. But
yeah,
that is what apparently happens. So it's not even really happening. Everything you say about the person is a story
yeah.
because there is. But because the whole person doesn't exist in the first place.
Mhm.
But people seem to feel like that. I'm a person and I have to be watchful and attentive all the time.
Yeah.
At least attentive to some degree. Some awareness going somewhere.
Some awareness.
Some awareness. And even if it goes towards itself, the attention of the awareness, there's some attentiveness going on, some presence, some subtle experience of presence. And that's in a way already fighting for survival in the end.
Yeah, I think as long as you're a word fucking or feel like a word making machine, then you'll always go, oh, awareness, or you'll vest meaning. There'll be meaning in words, and they'll stand for something. And you'll be you know what I mean? Words mean something as opposed to nothing means anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that's in a way the dream, or the only way the person would experience that words are something which means something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
Mm. Oh, yeah, it's that. So you can't even say it's things like survival or not survival, because that's more the person trying to find a place in amongst
To be.
the free flowing what's happening. That it's
Yeah, it
somehow.
wants to it wants to land in something. It wants to land and arrive in something. In the free
Yeah.
flow, it wants to arrive somewhere in the free flow and have a safe position there.
Yeah, wants to ride the snowball all the way to the bottom.
Exactly. It doesn't want to drown.
Yeah.
So that's why one could also say that's why it's attentive all the time. Takes care to not drown into totality. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Attentive, yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's
How
also
would the
kind of
world
okay.
cope with that? How
See,
would the world cope without me? The
again,
whole thing could fall apart if I wasn't paying attention.
oh yeah, exactly, of course. So to pay attention is in a way the least form of control.
Yeah.
To at least be there and notice. Notice that there is something. Yeah. At least that.
God, the person, well, there is, there is looking around in the dark for scraps, for anything, almost, you know what I mean, to feed.
Mm.
And like you say, it is still a story. It is still makey uppy too, because that is the happening. Everything is the happening too. So all of that we were just saying there is make believe too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course. Now the person again assumes we talk about something that really happens.
Oh God! It's
Yeah.
it's a bit evil as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the person will now sit there and understand that there is a person who is fighting for survival. Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Okay, that's me.
So
Boom! I'm back in the game.
absolutely already.
I'm back in the
And
game.
immediately, pretty soon, if the person gets aware of that or conscious of that fact or that assumed fact, it immediately says, that's not supposed to be. Let's kill that fucking me.
Yeah.
Then you end up in Buddhism. Well,
Yeah. Somebody wrote a comment on one of the videos saying, if you don't hear these words, you're going to get spanked. You need to hear them now, Frank. In one of the videos that I did. Oh, yeah.
well,
Thanks for that tip.
I guess he wanted to help you.
Yeah. Wanted to help me. Yeah, get a bit of that now. Need to, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of funny that. That's that whole I can help you. You could say that's that is an arising thing, but in the story of what's happening, that I can help you. Really, that's where the two can tango. That the helped and the helper, and they can really feed themselves. I mean, that's still only make believe too, but you know what I mean by that. If I was if I was talking to somebody who wanted to help me, and I thought they could help me, and they thought they could help me, then there we have a relationship, and when we can play tango
Mm.
forever, feeding off
Absolutely.
of each other, and I can nearly get there, not quite, and they can see my progress, and I
Yeah,
could buy into that. And
exactly.
yeah, so be it.
Mm.
Um, yeah. You haven't been to Ireland, you haven't, for a talk, really?
No, no,
No, if I was
never
any good of
happened.
a friend, I'd help you organize that. But then fucking dealing with people and all that. Do you know? Yeah,
I would need a room basically.
yeah. A room.
That that's all, I guess. It's not too much organization actually.
No.
But well,
Yeah, we could figure something out. You could stay in my gaff too, so you don't have hotel costs. Um, just as a thought.
yep,
Yeah, see what happens. Could be interesting.
could be interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, I just got that. There is
I think you wouldn't have to deal with a lot of people actually.
well, you see, if yeah, you've no problem with that probably. The how do you get to this hotel or all that sort of thing? I just kind of go, use Google. How do you deal with all that stuff?
Oh well, usually I'm quite okay with that.
You
I'm
okay?
actually, I'm
You're a nice dude, you see.
I can handle Google Maps, I was going to say.
Yeah, exactly. Go to Google and you'll find a way. No, it's just for the inquiries and things like that. But maybe there's a way for that. Um,
Well, don't want to talk you into something. It's just
yeah, no,
usually not so much to do, actually.
yeah.
But well,
We see what happens. It could happen, yeah. Kenneth did one, and there was an appetite for it. You could see he hadn't done one in a few years, and just so happened he did one. So I think he's now going to do one in Galway every month or every 2 months. So he's been knee deep in nappies for the last while. So anyway, um, yeah.
what did you do on the weekend?
Went to Lisbon with some friends.
Oh, all right.
5 grown men pretending they were 15, maybe 18, and yeah, eating and drinking and messing for the weekend. Yeah.
And you really think there was much pretending going on, or?
In what sense?
Well, you were talking about grown-up men pretending to be 18 years old.
Yeah. No, not no. Totally not. No, no pretending whatsoever.
No.
Because you kind of look at the photo of the 5 of us together, and you kind of go, here. you know, no, there was no pretending we were being kids for the weekend. Yeah, and it's great fun, but you're just exhausted at the end of it all. Yeah, so Lisbon's a nice city, but we probably could have been anywhere.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah. Realistically. Anyway, what about yourself? What were you up to?
Again?
What were you doing yourself at the weekend? You said you were a little bit tired.
Oh, I was in southern France.
Oh yes, yeah.
I had talks there.
Yes, okay.
Which was lovely. I just returned 2 days ago, so it was lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did they come about? That just somebody gets in touch with you, or do you take the first step, or does somebody say, "I can help you put a meeting together," or how does it?
Yeah, usually it happens like that. Yeah, that I need some
Help.
first step from someone else, so to speak.
Yeah, who knows the local area and that sort of thing.
Who knows exactly, who knows a bit the place. I mean, as I said, after that, usually it's not that much to do, but
yeah,
it should be
okay.
one basis, so to speak. One person who's a little bit like a basis where this can happen around. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I might talk to you about it. We'll see what happens over the next whatever. I'm away next week, but I might just send you a message on it. We'll see then if anything comes of it.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah. Cool. Great.
Oh God, yeah. I better get my shit sorted. Yeah, it's funny how it kind of this hits a beautiful, wonderful. It doesn't hit a wall, but it hits a nice. It slows down by itself when there's questions, and then there's answers, and you see it so many times in meetings and all that, where it just kind of comes to a stop. Then it doesn't. Like, it can start back up again. It can do absolutely anything. But this sort of thing, when there isn't really a massive what question can I ask, or
no. Yeah. It's
what
just
important question can I ask now that'll really unlock this? And that's not there. It becomes just a little bit more gentle, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Gentle's not
Yeah.
even. Yeah. I was going to ask you actually one thought. We talked about this briefly in the past, but have you any sense of something like a psychedelic to blast to evaporate the person? That there's some, you hear about ego death, and you hear about like. To me, there's experiences happen, but then there's one in particular which is 5-MeO DMT, which I'm sort of curious about. But the descriptions are quite similar. In some ways, they're quite similar. But I think it's another. What do you think of that? What I'm saying to you?
Well, the dilemma is that it's in a way not similar, because what I've heard about it, and actually I know that substance too, I've had it in the past. Well, even if there really was but it didn't happen for me in the end. But what happened for me was, looking back, apparently, there was always someone there experiencing it. And even if there might be a moment without someone, who knows?
Yeah.
What just usually happens is that the person survives it.
Yeah.
So there is no, I don't see a real connection in the end.
Yeah. That's
I don't see a
interesting.
real connection in the end. It's just another experience.
Just another experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and as I say, even if there was no one for whatever, for no time, um, someone who survives it and looking back turns it into an experience.
Yeah.
So I don't see a connection there. I mean, nothing is connected, you know, in the end, no awakening and no meditation and no state in a way has a real connection to that. So it's not an exception that exactly this has no connection. No, in the end, it's just like anything else or everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the things I've read is that it's go on, sorry.
No, sorry.
Yeah, some of the things that I've read is that it causes this absolute for the frog we're talking about, causes this absolute dissolution into everything. We'll say this is causes, which I know these are at odds words, because you're talking about, you know, somebody going in to do something to try and experience not being there, and it's all wrong if there really genuinely is nobody and there's only what's happening. But then I wonder, does that what's happening change? Is that, do you know what I mean? Is it, yeah, I don't know enough about it. Mind, I've thoughts, I'm wondering about it.
Well, I mean, of course, in the end, seen from the person, every experience seems to change something.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. Well, when I was started taking drugs, which is now really quite a while ago, I mean, what it did to me in the story, of course, was I was absolutely astonished and amazed and surprised about how good I can actually feel. And I was, of course, absolutely amazed and surprised about reality not being that fixed as it seemed to be before that.
Mm.
So for the person, for me, that was quite a huge revelation. And of course, that revelation had an impact on my personal story. Of
Mm.
course, no problem with that. And in that sense, every strong experience, whatever it causes it, of course, can have an impact as strong in the story. But it
Yeah.
still wouldn't necessarily have anything to do with the end of me or with non-duality in that sense.
Yeah.
But of course, a lot of those psychedelic, I mean, I was a little bit in a psychedelic scene. And of course, there were lots of talk going on and lots of jokes made, and it was an interest. That reality itself isn't as fixed.
Yeah.
But looking back for me in my story, in the end, there was always someone there experiencing it.
Yeah.
Even in the experiences that I would have called oneness or something like that. Well, when I did that, I wasn't in the paradigm of there being a person or no person. I was more like in having flow experiences and have no problems and feel totally at ease. But totally, that was kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
looking back, it was all for me in the end.
Yeah. Sorry,
And
it's
usually
the
what,
go on.
sorry, one last sentence. And usually whatever I took, I was actually still quite aware that I took something. You know, it went never, or hardly, of course, there were moments where I forgot what's going on. but but usually it was always somehow around that this is
Yeah.
happening to me and it's not what I experience in daily life. And so,
Yeah, but I think that's quite interesting when you say my own experience of a certain amount of them was always being there, whilst it might have been mind blowing or it might have been whatever. It was always kind of, you have a sense of somebody's there experiencing this. And that's like then somebody's there experiencing that there's nobody really. That's where it all just gets a little bit nuts, or, you know, it's, I suppose what I was curious about was the 5-MeO one, for a good few reasons, but I was just curious about.
I had that too. I
Yeah, okay.
can would say the same about that actually too.
As the other ones, okay. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm, that's very interesting. Mm. And you see, in a way, how that would mean that there's something outside of this, and there's a way into this, and that when everything is this, so that's what fucks it up. That's what almost a part of me kind of goes, they are interesting. I want to know more about them, and the other part of me goes, it sounds to me like another little bit of a game that I could go on playing, but I just have no, the idea of more experience. Anyway, I'm not that I'm closed to it. I'm, you know, an open-ish state of curious about them, but that's all.
Yeah, I mean, there is no right and wrong anyway. I don't say, I mean, there is really no suggestion in that message. I
Yeah.
mean, the
Oh, I know there
suggestion,
isn't. Yeah, we're only chewing the cud. Yeah.
yeah, the suggestion is not like, oh yeah, do it, it'll give you something. But the suggestion also is not, don't do it because it's just another experience.
Yeah.
You know,
I no, it's just it's a description of something that seems to be happening now, and I know Kenneth would be we haven't even had the conversation, but I'd be pretty sure that his perspective would not be too far from what you've just said there, I'd say.
mm, mm.
I mean, I'm still curious, but you know, curiosity, yeah. But it's a strange one too. Um, yeah, interesting. Mm. I put up on Patreon, it's one of the first things I did, the original conversation I had with Tony from 0 and 1. I just put it up yesterday. I hadn't looked at it in a couple of years.
Mm.
Yeah, it was quite. I like when I looked at how I did the interview and all that. That was one of the reasons that the first film I did was 30 minutes long. I just thought, I cannot look at myself doing an interview. It was just
Mm.
too cringy. But anyway, it's interesting all these years later that all this footage, you know, I was able to give you that talk from Germany and these other ones. It's still there. I could never quite press delete, you know,
Okay.
clear out my storage. It's still there, like the extended interview. It's kind of interesting to watch. And the first one we did, it's quite nice to watch. Yeah.
That's quite a while ago, meanwhile.
Seems, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Amazing.
Mm, yeah. Anyway, right. I might go and get a coffee.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring my son from the kindergarten soon.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice over there, is it? We finally got a bit of sunshine over
Yeah.
here. Show you my view.
Oh yeah, here too actually.
Oh, it looks quite grey there. There's my
Uh,
outside view.
yeah, I see there's sunshine in between. Yeah, we too have sunshine today.
Yeah, it's nice. The whole country in Ireland becomes alive again with because we're so used to grey and overcast. Everybody kind of is just, you know,
Mhm.
with the bit of vitamin D happening and
Yeah.
the blue sky. It's yeah. Anyway, here you go, buddy. I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Emil.
What?
I might hit the road, so I will. I'm going to press stop. I'll press stop. Hi, if you like the conversation that I just had and you'd like more, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Frank, Frank, come on, man.
So much I gotta do. So